even if you're a veteran rider and, you know, your other bike is a Hayabusa, you're gonna like riding this bike, I promise. You might not want to admit it to your Busa buddies, but you're gonna love it. Good morning, everyone. We're gonna ride the Himalayan to work today. Since the last ride, we've added the Seat Concept seat and the Racetech front springs. I came up through here just now. I can already tell the front springs are 1000% better. Hey look, someone dumped their trash on the side of the road. Awesome people. People are awesome. Anyway, so yeah, let's jump on and see what we think of this seat and these springs. Like I said, I hit as much rough stuff down there as I could just now, and I can already tell the front end's 100% better. We got to go over those mountains, so let's do that. First thing is, like, with this seat, she's way taller. If you have less than 31-inch inseam, this seat's probably not for you. I'm a little over 31-inch inseam, and I'm on the balls of my feet, so gives you an idea. The seat's probably 2 inches taller than the stock seat, but it's almost perfectly flat from front to back. I'm not locked in anymore. I can move around. It definitely feels more like you're riding an enduro or a dirt bike now, and I kind of like that. That locked in position drives me bonkers. I mean, this seat is way firmer than the OEM seat, and obviously much wider in the rear. A lot more space for your butt, where your legs reach for the ground in the front of the seat. It's narrow, probably narrower than stock. So they probably had to do that to keep it from being too tall. Man, almost forgot how good this Harley-Davidson front brake caliper is. Before, you used to have to grab a handful of brake just for a normal stop. Now it's a two-finger operation, and they slow down really good. Really good. Nice bite. I'm feeling like, yeah, you could probably do stoppie if you want. Okay, not really, not with 430 pounds of motorcycle. Maybe. Haven't really hit any rough bumps on the street here yet, but there still seems to be the appropriate amount of sag on these front forks. I can feel the suspension working. It's not like they're rigid stiff. I was a little concerned with how stiff they were compared to stock, but it's not bad. Not bad at all, actually. It's actually really good. Bad shouldn't even enter the equation yet. I really like this Climb backpack. I think this was originally made for rescue, snow rescue. It's got place for an axe and snow probe, but it also works great as a motorcycle day pack. Right now I've got my lunch, probably 2 liters of water. It'll hold 3 liters. Depends on how much weight you want to haul around, I guess. And there's plenty of room. I mean, it comes with a tool pouch. For the commute, my toolbox is a AAA card and extended motorcycle coverage. They'll come get me just about anywhere up to 100 miles away. So now we have full Racetech front suspension in this guy. We've got gold valve emulators. We have 15 weight oil recommended by Racetech. We have Racetech springs that were selected by using their online calculator for this bike and my weight and the type of riding I do. And so far on the street, they feel just fine. A little bit of dive when the brake's on, which is perfect, instead of a lot of dive. A lot of bit. Sorry for the wind noise. We are on a, well, we got a little bit of a windscreen, but we are on a dirt bike. Enduro Himalayan now. Actually, this is a 2022 Royal Enfield Himalayan with a couple of modifications. Just a couple. Yeah, let's talk about that. You know, there's still, that question comes up on groups and forums. You know, someone will pop in, hey, I'm looking at a Himalayan, and you know, the riders obviously come from various backgrounds. I'm a new rider, I'm an experienced rider, I'm an old rider, I just want a second bike rider, I need a primary motorcycle rider, you know, all those guys. And they ask if, you know, the Himalayan is the bike for them. That's a hard question to answer, actually. If you're in the US, I'm going to say right away, you're probably getting a better product than the Himalayans you've been reading about with cracked frames and all kinds of problems. The US models seem to be spec'd out a little better. I don't know if there's been a cracked frame reported in the US. If there has, and you know of it, please post in the comments. I mean, I don't know of one, but I'm not the monitor of the United States Himalayan, you know, online presence. But from the groups that I'm in and the forums that I've visited, I haven't seen a single instance of a cracked frame in the US, which is good, because there's plenty of pictures of Himalayans broken in half, you know, in India and other places. And the suspension's a little stiffer, but not bad. I mean, you gotta remember what we're riding here. We're now riding a dirt bike, not an adventure touring bike. I mean, you could adventure tour on it still, but it's more dirt bike focused. So yeah, Himalayan, is it for you? I mean, my personal opinion on that is exactly that, right? It's my personal opinion. And I think the Himalayan's a good bike for you if you understand that it's a 400 and I want to say 30-pound bike, maybe more, and it only has 24 horsepower. This is the first of two things that you need to understand about this bike, I think, in order to make the decision if this bike is for you or not. 430 plus pounds, 24 horsepower. It ain't fast, and if you've got a lot of highway riding to do, this probably isn't the bike for you. Or if you ride in an area like Southern California here, where things are so far away and traffic likes to cruise along at 90 miles an hour, it's not for that either. I say for this commute that I do, this bike is probably marginally adequate. I have basically what you're seeing here. Speed limit right here is 50. I might be going, oh, speed limit's 45 right here. I might be speeding. And then I head up over those mountains, twisty mountain road. Speed limit up there is 55, but 50 is a good speed for that road on this bike or in your car. In fact, that's cooking right along in a car. And then I get to the other side and I have maybe 7 or 8 miles, maybe more of freeway, 70 miles an hour. And so this bike works for that. It'll do 70 miles an hour, and I think it'll do 70 miles an hour all day long. So if 70's fast enough, you know, it'll go faster, obviously, but 70 all day. If that works for you, then maybe this could be the bike for you in that regard. Keep in mind, at 70 miles an hour, you're not going to have any passing power. And I'm running into bees, lots of bees. Stop running into me, bees. So yeah, if the 70 cruise speed with no passing power is okay, then that's a checkbox, right? Second thing you need to understand about this bike, the dealer network is not so strong in the US. I mean, yep, there's some good dealers out there. There's some really good dealers out there. But there seems to be an awful lot of bad dealers out there that don't seem to actually want to service or even mess with the Himalayan. They want to sell it and never see you again, is the feeling I get from what people are saying. Personally, I have no experience with a dealer other than buying the bike. I haven't been back since buying the bike. I do all my own work, even if it's a warranty item. If it's not super expensive, like a complete motor, I'll just fix it and proceed on. But yeah, the dealer network is, I'm going to call it marginal. So dealer support is marginal. Getting parts, marginal. You can get parts on eBay and Amazon, and that's where I get my parts. Parts like oil filters and you know, chains and sprockets and things like that. On eBay, it'll ship from India. You can get just about any part you want. That source used to be better than it is now. It used to be that you would order something and you would get it in 5 days, maybe less, and it would be a legit part. Almost always brand new even. Now it's a crapshoot. People in India have caught on that Americans need parts, and you know, I don't know what it is they're selling, but it ain't new parts. This gas tank, for example, is supposed to be a brand new gas tank. It is not. I think I paid 250 bucks shipped. When I got it, it looks like it was painted with a foam roller with cheesy decals and a Rust-Oleum clear coat over the paint. I mean, for a dirt bike, it's fine. I'd rather have a plastic tank, but that ain't gonna happen. So yeah, and then lately people have been ordering things from eBay India and not even getting what they ordered. So that source might be turning into you know, a not so reliable one. I've had really good luck with Amazon. Everything I've ordered on Amazon has worked and fit my bike, and usually it's cheaper than sourcing something off of eBay. Also, if you're good at researching what parts fit your bike, Amazon's even a better source, because you can just go get the part, even though even though Amazon will tell you this does not fit your Royal Enfield Himalayan. You know it does, so whatever. Yeah, so those are the two things, right? The bike is slow, and the support system in the US is barely above non-existent, it seems like. So those are the two big things. There are other minor things. The bike is heavy. No air-cooled 24 horsepower motorcycle should weigh 430 pounds. That's just ridiculous. But it is what it is. Because I've removed so many steel parts on mine, the racks and all that, I've shed about 40 pounds on mine with the removal of the racks, the addition of aluminum wheels, and some other items I've done. She's down to about 398 wet and it's pretty amazing how much difference that makes. She feels like a completely different bike. That really helps off-road too when you're struggling along with, I mean, it's still heavy, don't get me wrong. 398 pounds is a lot of dirt bike in my opinion when you consider my KLX 300R, which is considered a heavy bike, is only 200 and I want to say 280 pounds. So it's over 100 pounds lighter than this bike with 32-ish horsepower. So in the scope of things, even after, you know, losing 40 pounds, this guy still, he's a fatty. But he carries his weight well, you know. This is where it really carries its weight well, is on the street in the twisties. It's an amazing motorcycle for that. And it's just effortless gliding through these turns. It's amazing. I've ridden a lot of bikes, and this guy is just so neutral and balanced. So good. And that's where the fun to ride thing comes in, right? I've got a garage full of motorcycles, and this one might be, well, it's definitely number 2 right now as far as fun to ride category. It just puts a smile on your face. Everything it does, it just works well. So other minor things, we talked about the weight. Yep, she's a fatty. What other con would one see as a new Himalayan owner? Let's see, there, you know, the 2021s and 2022s in the US market had and still have some issues, most being electrical. There are relay issues, which are easily replaced with Bosch units, which are available on Amazon dirt cheap. There was a fuel pump issue, but I wouldn't call that a Royal Enfield issue, because that is a fuel pump sourced from Keenan, which is a Japanese manufacturer of fuel pumps for the world, basically. And that model of fuel pump during COVID, something went sideways. And yeah, that model of fuel pump has left a lot of bikes stranded, not just Royal Enfield bikes. KTMs and Hondas and BMWs, Royal Enfields having fuel pump problems all over the world. Sounds like we're maybe out of that bad lot of fuel pumps. Haven't had a 2023 or seen a report of a 2023 having a fuel pump issue yet. Those guys have a lot of lights. So 2021s, 2022s fuel pump issues, relay issues. 2021s still had the battery drain issue, parasitic drain. There's a fix for that. If you look it up on YouTube, you can do it yourself, or you can order a harness from Hitchcock's in the UK. This plug and play that'll solve that issue. What happens is, I think the neutral, either the kickstand switch, kickstand safety switch, or the neutral gear indicator safety switch down below your shifter there is always hot. They didn't put that on a relay. So, I mean, you can test that by using an amp meter and putting it in, you know, in line with your battery on your bike, and see what kind of amperage you're drawing with the key off. It'll show up right away, because yeah, that switch is always hot. So has a slow draw, and in less than a week it can kill your battery. I don't care if it's a new battery or an old battery, or a battery you just charged up yesterday. You know, 4 or 5 days from now, that battery could be dead if your bike has that problem, and it's a pretty common problem. So You know, how many guys you see, and girls, sorry, posting their battery's dead, the battery's dead, the battery's dead, the bike won't start. Well, that's a problem. I don't know that Royal Enfield addressed the problem as far as a, you know, a warranty or a recall. So that's up to you. I think, you know, that could be another con. A lot of things on this bike are going to be up to you. So it would help if you had a little bit of a mechanical background to be a Himalayan owner. If you were someone who relies on a shop to say change these levers or change your oil even, this probably might not be the bike for you. But having said that, it's a golden opportunity to learn how to do those things because it is so simple on this bike. I would not be afraid to teach anyone, and I mean anyone, how to adjust the valves on this bike. It is that simple. And you know, typically valve adjustment can be a pain in the butt. Not on this guy. It's the same as adjusting the valves on your old air-cooled Beetle, man. You know, you got a lock nut, you got a tappet adjuster, you got your feeler gauge. Obviously, you've got to get the motor at top dead center on the compression stroke. That's a key thing on the compression stroke. You know, use the appropriate feeler gauge, make the adjustment, tighten the lock nut, put it back together. And there's only two. There's one intake and one exhaust. You know, a lot of Japanese bikes and even other European bikes, you know, multi-valve engines now where they'll have 4 valves per cylinder. So that's 4 valves per cylinder that you have to adjust, which is quite a bit when you have a 4-cylinder. So other minor things, and they are just little minor things. Wow, got that bug right in the face, right between the eyes. You know, maintenance on it is probably going to be a little more frequent. And I'm not talking about, you know, oil change and valve adjustments. That's I'll put the interval right here. But you know, it's always going to be a little small thing because build quality just isn't up to the Japanese level yet. So you're really going to need to keep an eye on like throttle cables and brake cables. There are no brake cables on this, but how about clutch cables, things like that. You need to keep them properly adjusted and you need to keep them lubed, and that's something you really need to do like every other week. Otherwise you're going to snap the clutch cable or you're going to break the throttle cable, and yeah, it happens. So yeah, those kinds of little routine maintenance items that you just can't put this bike in the hangar, dig her out and go flying, you know, 3 months down the road. Not a good idea. It needs a little TLC all the time. Give your Hemi a hug. But on the positive side, this bike, for the price, is simply amazing. And I hate using that term, for the price. I mean, is it an amazing bike or is it not? And it's an amazing bike. What's amazing is how cheap it is. And that's what I mean by that. It's just a great machine, especially for doing what I'm doing right now. And it's one heck of an off-road machine. You wouldn't think, but it is. This little long stroke motor, even though it only has 24 horsepower, and I'm gonna guess, because I haven't looked and I've had so many motorcycle numbers in my head lately, I think the torque is right around 20. But she just chugs away. Off-road, it's like probably one of the only bikes I've ever ridden off-road that you can start off pointing uphill and just let out the clutch and chug on up the hill. No problem. You know, if your bike is stock with the stock seat and the stock suspension, the reach to the ground is short. That makes learning off-road riding easier, and you still maintain a little bit of ground clearance, you know, adequate for double track, gravel roads, things like that. Yeah, you can do single track stuff. And you can do stuff on really rocky roads. Look at the internet, go to YouTube. There's thousands of videos showing this bike doing stuff it probably shouldn't do. But it does it. You know, there's just, I don't know what it is about this bike, but the recipe is there, and the bike is just absolutely amazing to ride. It's just fun. And it may be because I've been riding for, I don't know, since, let's see, what am I, 77, I think, or 78. Had my first street legal bike. I had a Kawasaki 175 Enduro. So, yeah. Been on the street since 78, and I've worked for several different motorcycle companies. So I've ridden a lot of bikes. I've raced bikes. So it's just not coming from someone who, you know, is relatively new to motorcycling. This bike is fun. You will have fun. I promise. Even if you're a veteran rider and, you know, your other bike is a Hayabusa, you're gonna like riding this bike, I promise. You might not want to admit it to your Busa buddies, but you're gonna love it. I guarantee it.